Fuck. Now.
Wait.
You're
Says you're on
talking.
there. You're in the bucket. I'm here!
Yes!
I made it! Guys, I made it from 1234 Internet Street.
Oh.
I'm here.
Okay.
Wait, now hold on. Now we gotta get ready like we're ready.
No, we are live now.
Hi, friends. Oh, jeez. We're actually here. I made it. It finally worked. So we had to pray to a couple of different deities, and now we're here. The person who's in the chat, please let us know. Can you hear me? Yay! Hello, Ella. What's up? I can actually see your comments. Hi. Yes, it's finally fixed. I'm so sorry. My rural internet here in the middle of the United States is like, excuse you, no. Hi, Chain Shifter. It's good to see you. Uh-oh, now I can't hear you. Are you muted? Can you guys hear him? Okay. So they can hear you. Do you want to call me on Discord so I can hear you too, just in case? Just to make sure that I can hear you on audio here. Just to make sure that I can hear you, they can hear you, everyone can hear you. Yeah, because I still can't hear you, Jamie.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Wait, no, I hung up on Discord. Now I'm here. I can hear you. I
Can you hear
fixed
me?
it.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Yay!
Okay.
I
I
did
think it
not
was
have to
my.
sacrifice any of my pets.
I think it was my microphone. So I'm gonna try another microphone. Hold on 1 second. Still hear me?
Guys, say a prayer to the ship gods, please.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We're good.
Yes.
Hi, Austin.
So.
After figuring out that computers and technology hates me, and no, I did not sacrifice any of my pets. We're here.
we are here, guys. We are here. So again, finally.
Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. It's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines. Welcome back to a long, difficult, overdue stream. Without every ado, I have a co-host, as you can hear. Please, everybody, welcome Miss
Hello.
Elinor with a
Hi,
working mic.
Working microphone, working headphones, working computer. We did it.
We did it, guys.
Yes, Ocean Channel, we did it.
8 people in the stream, everybody. Thank you all, by the way, so very much for your patience.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being patient, because this is my first time ever live streaming, so I probably had a whole bunch of technical issues on my end.
Well,
Yeah, it's hard.
Silent Gaming says, I know how stream problems, so don't apologize for the problems. Exactly, Silent. We are here, and we're gonna have an amazing night, or at least from me, night for you today.
Early afternoon for here.
Early afternoon, talking about some shipwrecks and why we
have
find
some
them
good
so
ones picked out.
Yeah, so
we got good ones picked out.
So please, Elinor, I'm going to give you the full line here, the solo. Please introduce yourself. What is it what you do for the people who don't know you? The stage is yours.
Hi everyone, my name's Elinor. I have the channel Shipwreck Sunday, and every week I talk about different shipwrecks. So I don't just stick with ocean liners. Jamie does mostly ocean liners, which I think is fabulous, but anything that floats is all game for me. So I talk about shipwrecks every week, and every first Saturday of the month I do gaming videos too, so we do fun stuff over there. And thank you for having me on.
Of course, Elinor. I've seen your channel grow. I mean, I've been trying to contact you for extremely long, but I'm so happy you were so interested in joining me for this amazing live stream.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun.
At 100%. I'm always very glad that I'm not the only one talking because sometimes it makes it a little bit harder.
No, you're gonna have a hard time getting me to stop talking. I'm very chatty Cathy.
Thank you for silent service. Um, my English is
Yes,
improving.
even barges and oil rigs. Yes, I will talk
Indeed.
about it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, guys, the topics of this live stream again are shipwrecks. We each have 5 shipwrecks. We're gonna basically talk over them, how they sank, who owned the liners, and talk a little bit about their life. Lauren, I want to say Elinor.
Elinor, Lauren, same deal.
I have a PowerPoint, of course, for you guys, so you can show the ships or see the ships. Elinor, I'm
Mhm.
gonna let you start first. So
All
with
right.
what ship do you want to start?
Okay, so I'll start with SS Laurentic.
Okay, let me find. Okay, the SS Laurenti guys. Again, I have some pictures, and then the stage
Yes,
is
and
for.
then if you guys think I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm looking at my notes over here. So don't worry, I'm just not looking into space.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have an whole like paper right here, which is not at all systemated. But yes, let's begin with the first one. The RMS Laurentic. The stage is yours, Eleanor.
All right, so SS Laurentic was owned by the White Star Line, and she was built by Harland and Wolff in their Belfast shipyard, in yard number 394. She was ordered in 1907 and was launched on September 10th, 1908, being completed finally on September 15th, 1909. So her maiden voyage took place from Liverpool, England to Quebec and Montreal, since she and her sister ship, the Megantic, were both on the Canadian service route, and that took place from April 29th, 1909 and finished on May 7th, 1909. And how she sank is during a voyage from Birkenhead in England to Canada. She struck a mine. This was during World War One, and she stuck this just north of Fanad Head with 3,211 gold bars worth around 5 million pounds on board. And she sank at that time. And there was an insane level of salvaging that went on with that ship.
Mm. So here are some pictures from her as well in World War One. Of course, the wartime gray, and this is mostly the picture known the last time before the last time anyone saw her afloat.
Also,
At least.
Laurentic also chased down 2 murderers, which is
Mm,
amazing and awesome. Um, so there was 2 murderers that got on board a ship and started to make it toward Canada, and Laurentic was much faster. So the police got on that ship and actually met them there and said, "Okay, we're here to arrest you and take you back to England." So
mm.
that was an awesome story I took from that one.
And if I may ask, Eleanor, why the Laurentic of all the shipwrecks in the world as your first
she's
ship,
just
of
got
course?
she's just got such a amazing story. Like I love anything that's documentary, including serial killer documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
So that story kind of combined serial killers and ships for me, and I was like, this is the perfect mix of my obsessions right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, they did recover the gold, Tyler Owen. They did recover most of the gold, if not all of it. There was a huge, like, 10-year, I believe it was 10 years. You may have to watch my episode on that for me to remember that totally.
Mm-hmm.
But they did recover most of the gold from it. But it was insane how they had to go down there and dive. And this is like in, World War One. They're going down there and
Yeah.
diving to get this
Yeah. Yeah.
gold out
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
there, which is a much harder process than it is now.
I
Yeah,
also
it is a
saw
lot of gold.
I also saw a short animation, like 2D animation, when how the ship sank, like you said, with the mines, how they
Mhm.
picked up the gold. That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially because as the ship settled, the silt kind of built up more and more. They had to dig through silt to really get the rest of that gold out of there. So it was quite dangerous to go in there and get it
mhm,
all. But when you leave 5 million pounds of money on the ocean floor, we're
mhm.
not going to leave it there. We're going to go get it.
Of course, of course. Also, a ship that has gold, I believe. I might be wrong, but I believe that like there was a question if the MV Wilhelm Gustloff had gold on board as well.
I think I heard rumors of that. I don't know if it was confirmed, but I think
Not
there were rumors of
secret.
that. I know the Republic, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, one of
Mm-hmm.
the White Star liners also is called the Million Dollar Wreck or something like that. One of them,
Mm.
I think it was the 1909 Republic. I could be totally wrong on that. But I believe that was the one that had a lot of gold on it.
Mm. So, Silent, you raise a very good point. The captain of the Empress of Ireland, he also helped serve murder. That's true. That's true.
See, I
So
did not know that about Empress of Ireland, so I always learn things from you guys. I love that. Like, I
yeah,
always learn
no.
new things. I
Um,
love my favorite thing, honestly, is like when I post a video and
yeah,
I'm not actually the expert and everyone else is telling me what happened to the ship and giving me so many more details than I had. That's like my favorite thing.
true. Um, because I
The
heard
conversion into today's money, I believe it. If I remember correctly, I could be totally wrong on this, but I think it was somewhere around 32 million pounds.
mm,
It could be a little more than that. I have it in that episode. I don't remember the exact number, but I did do the calculations at that time.
mm. Um, I remember what you meant, Silent, with the murder, the murderer on the Empress of Ireland. Quick information. I forgot his name. Shame on me. Um, but actually, I know how he got captured because he went on, like Silent says, the HMS Edinburgh, and he was actually a serial killer who was with his fiancee escaping. They had some disguises on, but the captain recognized his face, and he did some research, and he discovered like, oh yeah, this is the serial killer, and that's how they caught up with him, or how a police ship caught up with him. They
That is
got captured.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of what happened with Laurentic too. Is like a guy killed his wife
Mm,
and then took his mistress, and they went across the sea, and the captain was like, I think that's the dude. And a police
mm,
officer was like, that is the guy. So then
yeah.
the police on the other ship met up and they made the arrest. And it's like he was getting off onto the dock and they were like, hello, we're here. We have handcuffs your size.
You're done. Jail time for you. So very nice ship, Elinor. The first ship I have.
Oh, Ocean Channel. Hold on a second. Ocean Channel, I'm so glad that the forest fire in your city is getting rain on it now.
Mm,
There are forest fires in the Pacific Northwest, and with Hurricane Hillary hitting the coast, we're finally getting rain. So I'm hoping that the rain will start putting out these fires. So I hope the best for you, and I hope you can go home soon. I'm so glad that you're okay.
Ella, it was indeed Crippen. His name was Crippen, indeed. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, Ella. Um, so the first ship I have is the RMS Falaba. Now, this sinking, Eleanor, is very well documented, and I will show you in a second because you actually get to see the explosion of how she sank, which is very interesting, and actually the culprit who actually sank the liner on the picture. Um,
See, that's insane. When they have evidence like that available, it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
precious, and I hope we can preserve it.
So she was an ocean liner. I'm gonna mispronounce this, so I'm sorry, guys. But her gross tonnage was 4.806 tons. She was built in 1906, and when the Falaba set sail on the 27th of March 1915, she carried a crew of 95 crew members, 147 passengers, plus a cargo estimated a 50,000 or no, $500 million today. Excuse me.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's a lot of
at
money.
ele- at 11:40 on the morning of the 28th of March 1915, as she was steaming 38 miles west of Small Lighthouse off the Pembrokeshire coast, a submarine or U-boat was
Yeah.
sighted. The German Admiralty had declared the waters around the British Isles a war zone on the 4th of February 1915. Now, the submarine or the U-boat we are talking about is U-28, and she had sunk another passenger liner, the Aquila, the previous day, with the loss of 8 lives. Now, when the captain of the Falaba, Captain Davis, spotted the U-boat, they tried to outrun the U-boat, but he soon realized he could not outspace her. 2 distress wireless messages were sent, and the Falaba stopped engines. The U-boat captain, Forstner, ordered the Falaba's captain to abandon the ship prior to setting about the sinking of the vessel. So in that time, in that stage of the war, you couldn't just sink a ship like they did with the RMS Lusitania.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
they had actually to warn the captain of the vessel, like, we're gonna sink your ship, evacuate everybody on board. And when the people and captains, when they were off board, they would sink the ship. So basically, nobody would be on board if they torpedoed the ship, supposedly.
Right, but when did we ever know Imperial Germany to play by the rules?
Yeah, you know,
They
and the
never
thing,
played by the rules.
and the thing, of course, is as well, like, this ship, she hasn't the same speed of the Titanic. As you can see in the stream, as you can see on the screen, yes, it's clearly that she can't go a fast speed. And if a U-boat is like on the surface, it's much quicker than when she is on the water, of course.
Yeah, because there's probably less resistance and drag, I'm guessing.
Indeed. So when everybody got off board, they fired a torpedo from astern, as you can see clearly on this picture. Can you see it, Elinor? Because it's quite an impressive picture.
I can't see it on my end, but I will definitely watch it when I watch the stream over. So I'll
Yeah.
definitely check it out.
So
But
as you clearly
here,
can see, guys, the U-boat or the torpedo hit the ship on her stern, and you can see a large, like, explosion coming from the ship, as you can clearly see. The only thing, though, is when the U-boat captain said, "We're gonna sink your ship," it was very, how will you say it nicely? Traumatic. There was a lot of distress. There was no organizing. So
panicking, probably.
panicking. Basically,
Panic everywhere.
nothing went the way it was supposed to go. So at the end, many lives were lost. As you can clearly see on this picture here as well. I'm sorry if the picture is not the best quality, but this is the best picture I can find you. I'm so sad I can show this, Elinor, because these are amazing photos. As you can clearly see on the left, guys, on the left picture, that is actually the U-boat who sank the liner. So there was a passenger aboard who had a photo camera, and as he got to capture some moments of the final moments of this ocean liner. And as you can see on the right side, you can clearly see the panic.
I have the
board.
stream open so I can see the pictures now, and oh my.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if you saw this picture, Elinor, but this is actually the ship when she got struck by the torpedo.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh my.
so yeah, like, oopsie, oopsie.
Yeah. Yikes. Big
Yeah.
yikes.
So basically, during the sinking, nothing went how it was supposed to go during an evacuation. The Falaba, she sank in 8 minutes, bow first, and 104 people died. And 53 of the crew members... 104 people died, passengers died, and 53 were crew members of those 104. I'm sorry for my English, guys. I hope you you can understand my rambling.
No, you're fine. Don't worry. Also, Beluga Lechuga saying U-boat U-28. I'm about to end this ship's whole career.
Yeah.
You're mad for that.
And there is actually some controversy surrounding her sinking, because when the U-boat surfaced, it is said that the crew of the U-boat started mocking the dying passengers in the water. They started laughing at the passengers who are actually dying. That's a report. That's a rumor. I don't know how real that is, because in my mind, I can't think that as a person you would like to enjoy or like to see people who actually die.
Right, and mocking them.
Mocking them. And this is then the picture, the painting, which I'm talking about. This is the painting which has a lot of the controversy. As you can clearly see right here on the bottom left, you can clearly see what I meant with the crew of the U-boat, like mocking them, like cheering, like, yeah, we sunk a passenger liner, people dying. In my mind, it doesn't. I can't imagine it being real. As a human, that you would want such carnage for other people.
I mean, you'd be surprised, like with the amount of research we do on these ships and stuff like that, the amount of inhumanity that can be seen in the
Yeah,
world. Like it's sad. And there will be sometimes where I research something and I look at Derek and I go, I'm angry. And he's like,
yeah,
okay. He's like, tell me what happened. And then I tell him what happened and he's like, ooh. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
So take it with a grain of salt that I said of what the people dying, because I'm not 100% sure. Um, but yeah, it's quite a sad sinking. So
Right.
for your second ship, Mrs. Elinor.
All right. So I have SS Noronic. She was
Yes.
owned by the White Star Line, built by Harlan and Wolff in their Belfast yard, yard number 251. She
Hmm.
was launched on May 26th, 1892, and completed on July 11th, 1892. She took her maiden voyage from Liverpool to New York City starting on July 15th, 1892. And she actually was a cargo ship that would haul cattle as well as people. And she's most famous for her sinking, or supposed sinking, because she left for her final voyage on February 11th, 1893 from Liverpool and she disappeared. She has never been found to this day. They don't know where her wreckage is. They have absolutely no idea where she is. There has been rumors of bottles, messages in a bottle that have been found. They're not confirmed, of course, because you can't verify where they're from. But a couple of them said, like, Captain from Neuronic, all of us goners hit an
Mm.
iceberg, and it would let you know what happened. And there's been like 5 or 6 of those that have been found. That to me, it's kind of a strange coincidence, but I think it's possible that they did hit an iceberg because they were up there in the North Atlantic and
Mm.
sank somewhere around that area. I don't know where you would even begin to look for her. I think the only person that would be able to find her is Robert Ballard, and he's busy looking for Amelia Earhart's plane. So I don't know if we're ever going to find Neuronic. But it's interesting because she was supposedly supposed to sink, but, we don't know that for sure. She disappeared. She's kind of a ghost ship. Some people still claim seeing her. I
The
mean,
modern day
it,
Flying Dutchman.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I personally believe that she probably hit an iceberg and sank very quickly, and because she did not have any sort of Morse code and she didn't have a wireless room, she wasn't able to reach other ships unless they're really close to her, so I just don't think she had the ability of getting anybody out of there. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, she foundered, and everyone passed away.
Well, you never know, because the same thing with the Endurance, right? They couldn't find a ship, and at the end they found her in pristine condition. So who knows? Maybe we'll find the Neuronic as well.
I hope so, because when they found Endurance, I was so astonished by that because I really do admire Shackleton.
Mm.
And when they finally found that ship from that tragic voyage, I mean, the tale of survival from that ship as well is just astonishing to me.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I just think this one hit an iceberg, and unfortunately, we might not see her for a few years. And I hope when we find her, she's in good condition, but because she's in the North Atlantic, there are bacteria that eat iron hulls like that,
Oh yeah,
so she might not be in the best condition,
yeah.
unfortunately.
And if that is true, I mean, like you said, with the bacteria, and the ship is of course way smaller than the RMS Titanic. So if it's true, maybe nothing will be left. Maybe a box of the ship will be found, and then we'll know, like, oh yeah, she sank here. Um,
Right.
but until
But
then,
I think and she could even be really damaged. Lusitania is really damaged, looked like she got stepped on. So
yeah.
I'm just worried that Neuronic might be in a bad state like that, so to the point where it's difficult to identify her.
Hmm. Um, Ocean Channel, indeed, yes, that was Stormworks. I had to get a game to find some more pictures of the Neuronic, because actually somebody built her, and there aren't known pictures of the
There are
ship.
like
So
no pictures of her.
there are
No, there's
none.
like
There are
none
none.
available. No.
Um, so
Any pictures of her that are available are usually of her sister ship, the Belgic, not
mm,
actually of Neuronic. they
yeah,
don't. They
true.
don't have any pictures of her, just of Belgic. That's like one
Mm-hmm.
or two. Yeah, seems really
Tyler
sad ship
says no
though.
way. Tyler says like no way that the ship will be afloat today without any maintenance. Nah, she's probably gone, lad. She's gone.
Well, look at Queen Mary. She's still barely making it, and they're not maintaining her.
Yeah. Well, we Dutch, we have our pride into the SS Rotterdam. We know how to handle ships. No,
Oh
no,
yeah,
but
and I don't understand why they can't take care of Queen Mary because I mean we still have Battleship Texas down in
mm-hmm,
Hawaii, and she's
mm-hmm,
fine.
yeah,
So it's like, why are we not taking care of this one?
mm-hmm.
But what's your
Very
next
good.
ship?
You've a very good point, Silent, regarding the USS Samuel B. Roberts, because that shipwreck is way deep. She's
Yeah.
actually tremendously deep. Good point, Silent. My second ship that I have is maybe a ship we all know. I'm talking about the RMS Lancastria.
Ah,
Now,
yes.
of course, the Cunarder. Um, but not many people know that actually the Lancastria, she was formerly owned by the Anchor Line, and her name wasn't actually Lancastria. She had a different name. If I can find the bloody notes, which I have right here. The RMS, I'm gonna try to say it correctly. Terenia. Again, owned by the Anchor Line. And of course, later she would be sold to the Cunard Line and be named Lancastria. Now, she was built by William Beardmore and Company Shipyard. The gross tonnage of this vessel would be 16,243 gross registered tons, with her length being 578 feet, and she had a beam of 70 feet. Now, the vessel could go a speed of 16.5 knots, and she would be launched on the 31st of May 1920, with her maiden voyage being on the 19th of June 1922. Now, when the Lancastria sunk on 17 June 1940 off the French port of Saint-Nazaire, while taking part in Operation Ariel, the evacuation of British nationals and troops from France. Now, 2 weeks after the Dunkirk evacuation. Again, this ship, when it comes to being documented of her sinking, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It gives you a
And it's
picture.
horrifically sad.
Oh yeah.
Horrifically sad.
Um, Here you can see a picture of the ship going down, bow first. For some for some reason, people like to go down, or ships like to go down with their bow first. I don't know what it is.
Whenever you
Maybe.
see one that's sinking turn first, it just seems really, really weird.
Yeah. Um,
It's like it doesn't seem normal. It doesn't seem right.
no, and I had a YouTuber, Spammels. He said like why people like we are interested in shipwrecks is because we are, like you said, Elinor, with your head, we are like, this isn't supposed to happen because a ship should stay afloat. And when you
I think
actually
people
see a
are
ship
also just
sinking,
interested in tragedy, you know?
yeah,
People are just obsessed with tragedy in a way. And I think it's just a way that we cope with it.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
It's normal, but it's weird, but it's normal.
yeah. Also with this picture, again, sorry for the bad quality, but this is the best I could get. But you can see the people like hanging on the starboard side of the ship, like clinging on for dear life. Now it is said that Churchill covered up her sinking. Um,
At least
which
for like the first few weeks, yeah.
yeah,
They
for
tried to keep
British
it hidden.
morale, yeah. But right now in the port of Saint Nazaire, there's actually a plaque where the ship is being honored. So she gets the attention she needs now. Many people know her, luckily for us, which is of course extremely respectful and good. And of course, there are some very good documentaries talking about the sinking of this vessel. Yeah, and reason why I find these two ships, this one and the Falapa, so interesting is how it is documented. It gives you an idea. Because of course, when you read a book, you can think about how it could have been, but now you can actually see it. It gives you way
Right.
clearer
It's
picture of how
different
the
when you see pictures.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Also, like 7,000 people died on the Lancastria, which is
yeah.
horrific and sad. It's one of the worst British maritime disasters in history.
Hmm. And also because
Yeah.
of course, um, there were other ships in the area who actually saw how the Lacastria sank, but they couldn't straight help them because she was still under attack, like when she was sinking. So for the safety of their ships, they were like, we can't go because they will bomb us as well. Um, but I think it must have been traumatic. Of course, seeing the ship sinking, but of course also hearing the screams of people dying in the water, and you being like there, like you can't do anything because you will be sunk as well. Like the helplessness. Um, it's very tragic. So that's my
Well,
second ship.
Silent had a good point that it wasn't the first or the last time news of a sinking was held back by the British government.
No.
HMS Barham is another example.
Mm,
Yeah. I've seen in many of the shipwrecks I've covered, there's been some sketchy government cover-up stuff, like especially with
hmm.
like SS Lauperzone. Like that one was another one.
Yeah, and to be fair, of course, I can understand like you're covering up for morale, but at the same time, all those families not knowing when their loved ones will come home, it's very tragic. Um,
Yeah, it is, and it's just not right to hold it back from people.
oh
I think
no,
it's just like just tell them.
yeah.
But
Um,
my third one
mhm.
is RMS Tahiti. So she was first owned by the Imperial Direct West Mail Company and then was sold later to the Union Steamship Company of New Zealand. But before that, she was built by Alexander Stevens and Sons of Clydebank, Scotland, in yard number 403. She was launched on April 19th, 1904, and acquired in 1911. We don't know when she was completed. There's not any information available on that. Um, Though the date of her maiden voyage is unknown, she did serve the Bristol, England to Kingston, Jamaica route for her first owners, and then she changed to the Sydney, Australia to Wellington, New Zealand to San Francisco, California route in 1911. And she had a pretty uneventful career for the most part, other than the Grey Cliff disaster, where she actually ran into a tugboat called the Grey Cliff and totally obliterated it and sank it.
Mm,
Um, and then in August of 1930, her starboard propeller shaft broke while she was in the middle of a voyage and opened a large hole in her stern, and that would be the cause of her slow demise. And she actually sank by the stern on August 17th, 1930 at 4:42 p.m. It took a couple of days for her to sink. The crew this sinking was one that I was actually really satisfied by covering it because the crew
mm,
made sure that nobody died and they were very organized with making sure they had rescue ships there. And then when the rescue ships were there, they had everyone unloaded. They tried their best to save the vessel. When they couldn't save the vessel, they got everyone out of there.
mm,
So it was like the textbook of what you should do when a ship is sinking. That's what that crew did. It's like if you want crews to be safer at sea, have them do their homework on RMS Tahiti and they will learn how it is done
mhm,
because that crew really went out of their way to save everyone and to really try to save the impact of the environment too. Because that's another thing that sailors have to look for is if they can save their crew, save their vessel, and if they can't, then they need to try to protect the environment as much as they could. And if they
mhm.
can't, then they need to just their biggest priority is just get people out of there. And they did a great job of doing that. But that ship, there wasn't a ton of information on her other than really the Grey Cliff incident.
Mm.
But that one was really fascinating because, and I didn't cover it completely in my episode because I wanted to see if anyone wanted me to cover it in a separate episode, and I probably will because it is just so interesting. She ran into this tugboat and it became a huge, huge scandal in Sydney, Australia.
Mm.
Like, it's still known to this day to people that it was really deadly and really uncomfortable for people to talk about at the time.
How interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
so Artemis Tahiti is a really interesting ship, and especially because she's trans-Pacific. Not a lot of people look at trans-Pacific ocean liners.
mhm,
So I try to branch out into the Pacific Ocean because otherwise I kind of kitty corner myself into the Atlantic.
mm.
And she was one of those ones that really drew my eye. She was really interesting.
Well, thank you, because now you learned something to me, because I heard, of course, of the ship, but I didn't know like that she actually sunk another ship. So thank you.
Oh
Very
yeah,
nice vessel.
she had that was probably the biggest scandal of her career.
Mm,
And then when she sank, they did the investigation and they were like, no, this crew did everything they could have done. It's just strange that there was a propeller shaft that broke that badly to the point that
hmm
it sank the ship. Because usually broken propeller shafts cause some flooding, but it usually doesn't sink the ship. But they also had a bulkhead door fail.
Yeah.
So then it was just like the flooding just spread and it became uncontrollable at that point.
Mm. Well, people, they want you to do a follow up, Tyler.
Well, we can definitely do that. Yeah, we can definitely plan that
There
one
you have
out.
your answer, Tyler. Um, so Austin, quick question: with what do you think Titanic? What do you guys think Titanic would be if she didn't sink? I think she would have been scrapped like the Olympic. I don't think she would have survived. Um,
I don't think
oh,
so either. I think she would have been scrapped, but I think she probably would have gone on to be a hospital ship during World War One.
yeah.
Then after that, probably would have returned to service and would have been just as unsuccessful as Olympic was,
Mm-hmm.
which pains me to say because Olympic was a beautiful liner and so was Titanic.
Mm-hmm. So for my third ship is a ship like that I'm nationally very proud of. This is an Italian ship, the SS Principessa Yolanda. So this ship, she sank straight after her launch. But before we
I
get to
looked
that,
this one up and I was like, holy cow, it's got a cool story. You guys are gonna like
yeah.
this one.
So she was owned by the Navigazione Generale Italiana. I hope you enjoyed that Italian. She would be owned
I would
by
appreciate that.
she would be built by the shipbuilders Cantiere Navale di Riva Trigosso. Now the gross tonnage of this liner would be 9,210, with her length being 463 feet, and she could go a speed of 15 knots. Now, like I said, she would be launched on the 22nd of September 1907. But when she was launched and when she was making her way off the railway, she hit the water and immediately became unstable and heeled sharply to port. Now, of course, efforts were made to by tugboats and shipyard workers to rescue the situation, including lowering the anchors to the starboard to counter react the movement. But it was unsuccessful, and after 20 minutes, the vessel's list was such that it began taking on water through openings in the upper decks, and she soon capsized with her funnels a few meters above and parallel to the water. Now, there is a reason why the ship sank. Normally, when a ship is being launched, you take her to the fitting out yard where all the boilers are being installed. Excuse me. All the furnitures are being installed. But with this ship, it didn't happen because before she was being launched, they already installed all the boilers, all the furnitures inside. So of course that is creating a very, very heavy load to the ship. And then of course the speed of when she hits the water, she capsizes and sinks. So here she is again, sinking on her port side. And I read an Italian book, and this was a tragedy for the Italians because they were very proud of this vessel, and just seeing it go down like this, not even after completing her sea trials, was quite tragic.
Yeah, that is so sad. It's
But
good that nobody died, though. That's the best part of that nobody died.
yeah, I think this learns us a lesson, Elinor, that if we ever buy a boat, don't install the furnitures
No,
straight on board.
fitting out afterward, not before.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my third ship. Yes.
Also, Silent, I see your recommendation for an HMAS Melbourne, and that sounds interesting to me. Um, Also, the Titanic cocktail, I have heard of that. Jack Daniels with tequila rose over ice. That one makes me laugh. That one makes me giggle. I can't. I can't lie.
The names as well, being like Jack, Rose.
Oh yeah, like Jack and Rose, like that one just hit a little too close to home. Like, really? We're gonna do that? Okay, I can laugh at it. But
Okay.
my fourth ship is SS Arendora Star, and I had never heard of this ship until I actually covered it because one of my viewers recommended it to me. She was owned by the Blue Star Line. If you didn't know, there isn't just a White Star Line. There's a Blue Star Line, a Red Star Line, a Black Star Line. There are quite a few that go by that kind of moniker.
Mm.
She was built by Camel Laird and Company in their Birkenhead yard in yard number 921. She was ordered in 1925, launched on January 4th, 1927, and completed in May of 1927. What was interesting about her, she actually had four other sisters, and all of the four other sisters also sank. So all five of these ships, all of them sank. Her maiden voyage, though, was sometime in 1927 after her completion, and she sailed from London to the east coast of South America. Shortly after that, she was refitted to become a cruise ship, and she would make voyages to Norway, the northern capitals, the Mediterranean, and the West Indies, among many other destinations. After that, she just kind of did pleasure cruising.
Mm.
And then during World War II, she was requisitioned for wartime service, of course, and then was torpedoed by U-47 in the morning on July 2nd, 1940, and she sank at 7:20 a.m. that morning, killing 805 people. And all, like I said earlier, all of her sister ships also sank in the war. So all during World War II, all of them did not make it. Which that was probably the most fascinating part of her story for me was how did her and her sisters get so unlucky that
Mm.
all of them sank? I
Mm.
really liked her nicknames though because of her paint scheme. She had a red keel and her hull was white, so she got nicknamed the wedding cake or the chocolate box, which I thought was just really cute nicknames for her. And I'm like, can you imagine sailing on a ship that you called the wedding cake? That's just so cool. I really liked it. And when somebody suggested the ship to me, I'm like, I never would have looked into that. So
Mm.
it really kind of captured my attention. Yeah, she's really pretty though. Her interiors were
Her
cool.
design as well, with her forecastle, her bow.
Oh yeah,
Very
yeah,
nice to look at. Very nice. Of
yeah.
course,
And I
like
also love her funnels with the big blue stars on the side of them because the funnels were blue tips with that white stripe. Then it was red, and then a white circle with a blue star in it. So it just stood out. So
mhm.
everyone knew it was the Blue Star Line. And I just thought she was so gorgeous. And I'm not usually one for, cruise ships as much, but even though she did cruising, I really enjoyed her story.
Yeah. Um, Ocean Channel. We're not doing this. We're not talking about this here. We're talking here about ships. Let's keep it friendly. But yes, I agree. Very nice paint scheme. Very nice ship. I enjoy that you covered this ship. I was like, oh, she's covering this one. Oh, that's nice. That's cool.
Oh, she's just so pretty. She's
Oh
just so
yeah.
pretty. She's one of those ones that you're like, I could just imagine sitting on the deck as the water's really calm and enjoying a margarita while sitting on the ship.
Oh yes.
Like, oh yeah, that's one of those ones.
Yeah. Indeed, indeed. So my third ship is the SS Van Imhoff, and she is a Dutch liner. She was owned by the Koninklijke Pakketvaartmaatschappij, and she would be built by the shipbuilders. Maatschappij Feyenoord. Now, the gross tonnage of this vessel would be 2,980, and she would have a length of 103 feet. Now, there isn't actually much known about this vessel. Not much known about when her maiden voyage was. Mainly, she is known for her sinking, and that is quite a, I don't know, disgusting sinking, but it makes you like it makes you angry because how it all went down on, or how she even went on that voyage. It's quite anger making, um, because
Yeah,
in 1942, the Netherlands, of course, they were also in control of the Dutch Indies, and there were many Germans living on in the Dutch Indies, And when World War II broke out, um, they actually chartered the Van Imhoff to relocate 2,300 German citizens from Siboga in the Dutch Indies to Bombay. And that would be in the then British India. Now, this relocation was done out of fear that the approaching Japanese army might potentially collaborate with the Germans, because of course Germany and Japan, they were allies during World War II. Now, two ships reached Bombay on the 18th of January 1942. The Van Imhoff, under command of Captain Herman Hoeksema, left the port as the third and final transport. On board were approximately 477 interned German citizens, 62 guards, and 48 crew members. Now, shortly after departure on the same day, the Van Imhoff was hit by a torpedo from a Japanese fighter plane. The Dutch guards and crew managed to leave the ship using lifeboats, but abandoned the Germans to their fate. Only 65 German prisoners survived the shipwreck. So of the 477, 65 survived. Like,
That's just disgusting to me. I mean, I understand being angry at the Germans, but innocent German citizens did not have anything to do with what the Nazis were doing. A lot of them weren't even aware of it. So I always try to, have as much sympathy for any victims as possible, and that is just so, so sad. I mean, why would you just leave those people? Because they left women and children behind too. It wasn't soldiers, it wasn't just men, it was women, children, everyone that they left behind.
no, and also the thing is because there is actually a Dutch documentary about the sinking of the ship, and basically what all the crew members did when the Germans, like the Germans who got out, who broke through the cages, because let me say first, sorry, that when the ship was sinking, the Dutch crew members, they didn't even want to open the cages where the Germans were in. They were like, you know what, let us sink with all the Germans on board. They're Germans. They're all Nazis. We're gonna let them die with the ship. So they didn't even bother opening the gates of like giving them a chance to escape. So many of the victims actually died in the cages because they weren't open. They couldn't break out. Um, and the Germans who escaped the cages and who went on deck and who were trying to get in the lifeboat, they would be shot by the Dutch authorities or would just be like beat to death, like of preventing them to get into a lifeboat. So after some German passengers saw that occurring, many committed suicide by hanging themselves or cutting their wrists open because they were like, you know what, the situation is so hopeless, we're not getting off, and we don't want to
That is so
drown.
sad.
Yeah, it's giving. That's the definition of all hope being lost. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
They didn't want to
exactly.
drown. So
That's a definition of inhumanity too, like being so inhumane to your fellow man. It's like even if they're from a nationality you don't agree with, like they're just a human living the human experience just as you are.
yeah,
And giving them a chance to redeem themselves, that's much better than dooming them. And man, I just can't believe that. But
and
that
also
picture you have up is impressive, like that
yeah,
they actually have that photo.
that's from the Dutch documentary.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, that's quite the recreation. Yeah.
yeah, no, but also after the sinking, also the Captain Hoeksema, he actually disappeared. Um, he didn't sail any more ships after. He the Dutch authorities actually helped him like cover up the whole sinking. So he never got a trial because this is actually a crime against humanity. This is like a Nuremberg kind of trial, like not even wanting Germans to get a chance to live or a chance to escape. Um,
Right.
he didn't get a trial. He just died peacefully in his home. So nobody actually know what happened. And the most sad thing is that of the Germans on board, many of them were Jews and anti-Nazi individuals, so they weren't even associated with
Right,
Nazi Germany.
exactly. And that's the frustrating thing is that there were a lot of Jewish people that were living in Germany at the time, and there were a lot of people who were against the Nazis that lived in Germany at that time. They just couldn't be as open about it because the Nazis were like, mm-mm, nope,
Hmm.
like we're not dealing with that. That is just so horrific. And sinkings like that, those are the one that would be one that I'd research and I'd look at Derek and be like, it's making me angry.
No,
That
no, no.
would be one of them.
I actually feel disgusted watching the documentary. Don't get me wrong, it was a tremendous documentary, but if you get to see and learn about how the captain, like with complete neglect, treated those Germans as like basically an other kind of race, um, not even human being. It's
Right,
disgusting.
exactly.
It's
It's just
disgusting.
yeah, it's inhumane. And speaking of inhumane, my next one is also an inhumane story.
I'm gonna show them. The yes,
The
yes, yes.
SS Capricorna.
Oh yes.
So
I,
SS Capricorna was operated by Hamburg South America Line. They have a very German name, but I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to offend any of you by butchering it. I'm just going to go by the Americanized version. They were built by Blom and Voss in their Hamburg, Germany yard in yard number 476. She was laid down on July 21st, 1926, launched on May 14th, 1927, and completed sometime in 1927, but we don't know the exact date. Her maiden voyage took place on October 29th, 1927, from Hamburg, Germany to Buenos Aires, Argentina. She continued this route until she was requisitioned during World War II by Nazi Germany. And during the war, she kind of did training exercises. Like she was docked and she was used for barracks or used for soldiers that were training. And then she was later used as a prison ship and held concentration camp inmates. And as a concentration camp inmate ship, um, she was mistakenly bombed by the RAF on May 3rd, 1945, because they located all these ships in the Bay of Lubeck. And with her sinking, it killed roughly 4,650 concentration camp inmates, which is incredibly sad. And I believe only 350 people survived from her sinking. And there were other ships in the bay that were also prison ships that also got bombed. And so a lot of people died during this sinking.
mm,
And for years and years afterward, bodies and body parts would wash up on shore. And I mean, like, even 10, 15 years later, they would have body parts wash up on shore.
mm,
And she kind of got this moniker being called the Nazi Titanic. And I always get kind of grossed out by nicknames that compare ships to Titanic
yeah.
because I think it just lessens the severity of both sinkings, because you're just comparing them instead of, really appreciating the lives lost in each one. So
Hmm.
I always just try to, remember her as the Nazi prison ship instead because that's
Mm,
really what she was. She wasn't a Titanic. She wasn't a beautiful she was a beautiful ocean liner at one point, but she wasn't a beautiful, luxurious ocean liner that sank to an iceberg. She
mm,
was mistakenly bombed, and that killed so many people, and it ruined so many lives and destroyed
mm,
so many families. And it's just so, so sad.
mm. Um,
Yeah.
one one interesting thing is that actually I got to know a survivor of the ship.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and he wrote a book which he gave me as a friend. This one, it's sadly in Dutch, but it's called De Laatste Getuige, the Last Witness, and
Hmm.
his name was Wim Ossolerij, and he actually survived he survived three concentration camps, the Death March, to the Capricorna, and he actually survived the shipwreck. So this is the book
That
that he
is
wrote.
incredible. Yeah, because also during that sinking, they had all of the life jackets locked up in lockers, so you couldn't get to them.
Yeah,
So anyone who survived that sinking, it was of their own sheer will. So
yeah,
that would be a really interesting read, and I'm so glad that they survived, and I really hope the best, and that
yeah,
you're able to move on from that because that is the definition of PTSD and mental scarring right there, and that's
yeah,
just so sad.
Nah, he
So
said.
sad.
Sadly, of course, he isn't with us anymore because he was quite young, old. Um,
Right, yeah. I
when
mean,
when when I received this
World War
book
Two
from.
was yeah, World War Two was about 80 years ago now,
Yeah,
so
so
yeah, that
there's
was a
like
while ago.
um one caption or like the final chapter of the book is like most fittingly named Caparcona, and basically in this book it explains how he survived and how he witnessed all the things you just said. Um, so yeah,
Man,
I'm
that's
sorry that
a
this isn't
I'm gonna
in
have to order
English.
that one. I'm gonna have
Well,
to order that one from my book collection.
if it's in English, I will surely send you a link. But yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
because either that or I'll have to really quickly learn how to speak Dutch if anyone in the chat wants to volunteer to teach me Dutch.
nah, nah. But it was quite amazing because I actually got to talk to him, and the way he was talking about the disaster, I was crying, and he was like, "Well, yeah, but that, of course, it hurts me, but at the end, it's also been a part of my life. So of course, he was emotional, but he wasn't emotional as I was, and I was like, geez, to
Right, because
talk
for
with
him,
that
he's like,
tone,
he's lived with that. And for you, you're hearing this and you're like, how could somebody live with that and live through that and be okay and be on the
yeah,
other side? Because that's just
and
admirable.
even write a book about the disaster of his life.
Also, Beluga Lechuga, I always want to talk about MS Akili Laro.
Oh
We
yeah,
love MS Akili Laro.
oh yeah,
She's gorgeous.
A perfect Dutch ship, and then destroyed.
And then destroyed. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Then
nah.
that ship was always on fire. I don't know why,
Mm.
but that ship was always on fire. Like that
During the
ship had multiple
bombardment.
fires, had terrorist attacks. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened on that one.
However, the most interesting thing is that she did survive the bombing of Rotterdam unscathed.
Yeah. Yeah, she was just fine there. And then it was just like, nope, we caught on fire. We're not okay. Not
No,
anymore.
no. Um,
Can't do good with a fire.
my final ship is the MV Robert Ley, and she was actually the sister ship of the Wilhelm Gustloff, as you can clearly see by her design. Now she was owned by the German Labor Front, and she would be built by the shipbuilders. I'm not gonna pronounce the name because my German sucks.
Well,
But
trust
the
me, your German's not nearly as bad as mine.
oh, and they say like, and then people say like Dutch and German is the same, but nah,
No, it's not.
it's
No.
two completely different things.
Dutch is
Um,
actually way easier.
oh yeah, if you
German, you gotta sound angry. Dutch, you can sound pretty normal.
yeah, the ship was 27,000 free. No, sorry, let me say it again. 27,288 gross registered tons, with her length being 203.8 feet, and she had a beam of 24.1 meters. She could go a speed of 15.5 knots, and she would be launched on the 29th of March 1938, with her maiden voyage being on the 24th of March 1939. Now, like I said earlier, she was owned by the German Labor Front, but she was built for the KDF program. And Elinor, if I'm gonna ask you, if you have you ever heard of the KDF program?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what it means then.
Hmm.
Okay, so for the
Yeah.
people who don't know, in German it's like said Kraft der Freude, and it is basically like strength through joy. Um, this ship and the Wilhelm Gustloff, they were specifically built to house Nazi officials, Nazi members with their family for vacation. Um,
Basically a pinky up type ship. Very
yeah,
fancy.
the MV Wilhelm Gustloff being the more famous one of the two. Um, but of course also having the Robert Ley, and only um, Nazis were on board, or Nazi sympathizers. Not no one was actually on board who didn't like the Nazis. Um, and the name Robert Ley also comes from a high-ranking Nazi. So again, you can see the propaganda in that. On the 9th of March 1945, the Robert Ley was in the port of Hamburg during an air raid on the city by the Royal Air Force. The ship received several bomb hits and burned out completely. The still floating wreck was still in the harbor basin until June 1947, when she was towed to the UK and scrapped. Um, of course, people died on a ship, but a Nazi ship, I don't know. I'm not that moved by it, if I'm saying it correctly. I don't know about you, Eleanor.
I mean, I still feel bad that people died,
Of
but
course.
because of the group that it represented and the group of people that was on board, it's very difficult to, feel completely sympathetic and empathetic for them
Mm-hmm.
because in a way, if you are a Nazi supporter, you have it coming to you. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of have it coming to you. Not that you should necessarily die, but still, you kind of have like you have bad karma hanging out there. And so I think that is kind of where that I would draw that line of
Mm-hmm.
yes, I feel bad that people died, but I don't necessarily feel bad for the individual people necessarily.
Mm-hmm. You said it.
Yeah.
You said it correctly. You said it excellent. I couldn't have worded better. You can see that you're the American of us to when it comes to your pronunciation.
Oh, trust me, the Americans, we aren't always better.
So those are basically our ships, guys. We had 10 ships in total, 5 ships each, and this is actually the list. So
Yep.
thank you so much.
If I have to give a shout out to a ship that didn't sink, it would be RMS Olympic because she was the
Yeah,
bomb.
I've seen you. I see what you did there. I read your community tab. Like somebody said, you
Oh
need.
yeah, I see you, Leopard One. I got you. I'm putting Olympic in there. We're like me and Jamie are part of the cool kid club. We got it.
No, no, but thank you all very much for sticking around. For the whole stream, we had more than 10 people watching. Thank you all so very much. I hope you learned something new. Jamie asks, Silent, could you do a video about the new Amsterdam at some point? I certainly can. Silent, that ship is on my list. Um, Quite a story as well. I think she should have deserved to be with the Rotterdam in Rotterdam City. No, but I'm working on a new video, which I think you all will very much enjoy as well. I'm gonna do a little bit promoting, of course. I'm gonna ask you, Eleanor, what you're gonna do as well. Uh,
Gotta
but
get the promotion in there, guys. We're YouTubers, is what we do.
yeah, no, I think you will enjoy the one I'm preparing right now as very interesting silence, because that's not a ship that many people know, and that's basically if I can pull it up. This will be the next video. The
Oh,
MV Vitas, the last Soviet ship.
ooh, that's gonna be a good one.
Nah, she
That's
actually
gonna be a
survives.
good one.
She's actually still with us today. She's a museum ship. You can still visit this liner.
I wish they had more museum ships in America. There's not very many of them here,
Well,
but I would love to see them.
if you want, I have like a book, like the Dictionary of Steamships, and it's like basically a bible of all the museum ships which are still with us today, including American ships. Um, so there are still many with us, also American ships. So I will send you a
Well,
few.
yeah, you have to send me the link so I'll have to see which ones are there. While
Um,
I was on my trip recently, I saw a paddle wheel steamer. I was going to get a picture of it, but I had a concrete barrier in between me and it because I saw it from the freeway. But that was really cool to see. It was on the Columbia River, so that
mm-hmm,
was really awesome.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Eleanor, what
Um,
what is what is the next video you're working on? Tell us. It's your turn.
so this Sunday, I have MV Queen of the North.
Mm-hmm,
That one is a ro-ro ferry that
mm-hmm,
sank in Canada. Um, and she was surrounded by a lot of scandal. I was not surprised, like I was not prepared for all the scandal that was
Mm-hmm.
surrounding her until I started looking into it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is almost like Costa Concordia, the amount of stuff
Mm.
that is surrounding this ship. And it actually had modifications made to it after MV Estonia sank. So
Mm.
that was also interesting to connect it to that sinking. So that one's going to be next week's. And
Mm.
then the week after that, I let everyone vote, and they voted for RMS Queen Mary 2,
Of course.
which is still a modern one that is very good. Very
Of
good.
course. Of course. The Queen Mary
Hopefully I
too.
can make hopefully I can make a good enough promo for them that they'll sponsor me to take a cruise or something.
Oh yeah. My God. I wish for you. I will pray for you if that happens. Make pictures. Make
Right? I
pictures
would
of the.
love to be on the Queen Mary too. I'd love to see it. Love to see it.
Well, thank you so much, Eleanor, for joining me on this live stream. I hope you had a good time, even though we like had 15 problems, but it worked out.
Oh, thank you so much for working with me on those problems because I was like, I feel useless. I don't know what's going on. So thank you so much for having me and for inviting me. I really
And
appreciate it.
guys, also be sure to check out the YouTube of YouTube channel of Eleanor. I will leave a link to it as well. Um, because her channel is one of the best channels I think out there that you will enjoy when it comes to like new ships
Thank
you
you.
want to learn about. What's the name of your channel? Say, ask Yannick. Mine of course all shipping lines as you can see, but the one
Mhm.
of the missus is historic ship. No, sorry, Shipwreck Sunday.
There you go. You got too many friends. Shipwreck Sunday. It tells you what I do and when I do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Shipwrecks.
yeah. A lot of time and effort goes in her videos, guys. So be sure to check out her channel as well. Thank you all so very much for sticking with us, guys. I had an amazing time. Thank you all
Yeah,
so
me
very
too.
much. You
Thank you
guys
guys
are
so much.
awesome.
You guys
Um,
have a great evening, day, night, wherever you are.
oh yeah, I see what you did there. Um, so guys, if you like our videos, be sure to subscribe to our channels. That would help out very much. And like Eleanor said, with that out of the way, I wish you all a good night or day wherever you are. And we will see each other on the next one, guys. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Thank you.